Ding ding. Whoa. Okay, here we are. My eyes looking a little puffy. Oh well. Alright, so the topic for today, or at least for now, is fear. Yay, fear. How it shows us things, how it can actually help us. So, as I like to do, as some people like to do, to get wisdom, inspiration, teachings from their dreams, and even if it's something that pops up in a dream and you think about it the next morning, the next day, and you're like, why did I react that way? Why did I respond that way? Why did I make that choice? And a lot of those times where you're questioning your past actions, dreams or not, a lot of times fear was involved. So, fear as a protection mechanism can be fine, but it gets to a point where it's blocking you from things that you actually want to do, and that you have enough discernment and enough logic to know that if you're going for this particular thing, like, you're not gonna get killed, attacked, etc., etc. So our natural fear mechanisms are fine and necessary to an extent. If we're in a legitimately dangerous situation where a legitimate threat to our lives may be happening, then okay. I think it's the amygdala, maybe the limbic system too. Regardless, the process goes on. Our survival mechanism, however many parts it has, it kicks in and it says, I want to stay alive. Let's do the fight or flight or freeze or fawn. I'm sure there's another one nowadays. They keep adding another one every 5-10 years. But to survive, that's understandable. Like, in that sense, to an extent, like, fear, cool, thank you. But I am more so talking about the fears that come in due to our systems, at least currently, if we haven't moved beyond this or transcended it or created peace and balance with it, we find ourselves in situations where a prompt comes up, like, ooh, and it could be something relatively simple, like what you're gonna order at the restaurant. Ooh, insert the blank, would really hit the spot. But, and then the fear kicks in, but I probably shouldn't because of the fats or the sugars or the carbs or the whatever, the calories. So, in that sense, us being afraid of a potential future, or afraid just using a basis, a framework of, oh, well, I don't want this to happen to me, so if I change my idea here and now, I'll be less likely to have this happen in my life. Whether that be food, friends, family, relationship, workplace related things, grocery store, traffic moves, your religious or spiritual life, your thoughts, your emotions, and many more. But these situations, these crossroads, happen a lot. And like I've mentioned in other videos, the more we are conscious and wanting, desiring to see the crossroads and give ourselves enough time, enough space, mental, emotional, physical space in time space, but that place and space where you give yourself the place and space and time to reflect. That's what matters. Before you make a decision, a rash decision, a split decision, subconsciously, before you're doing any of that, you are here in the now, in between the decision points, and you're essentially affirming to yourself, I don't have to make a move until I feel things out, parcel things out, use my discernment, my intuition to make the best choice. And if you have the luxury of more time, you can essentially say, I need more time, I'll sleep on it, or I'll come up with something in an hour, etc. If you don't have that luxury of time, you could just say straight up, this is just a no. If I don't have a definite yes, then it's a no. Or if you're in a situation where a decision just has to be made, like honestly, like your heart, your soul, your intuition has got you. And let's be honest, we're not really in life or death situations that you need to make a decision in 10 seconds or less. Like, that's just not really actually what happens. So I'm expressing all of the, or at least most of the possibilities, but at the end of the day, these decision points, these crossroads, the more we give ourselves the conscious time and space to reflect, the more wise we become, the more respect we're giving to ourselves on all layers, on all levels. And it becomes more and more of a beautiful life. That's what we're all about here, right? So, when it comes to fear, I know there's a book title out there, I haven't read the book, but the title is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So, the fear is nascently, right? You can search up that word. It's not naive, it's nascent. N-A-S-C-I-E-N-T, I believe. But innocently, the fear is just saying, hey, this is an unknown. If we're playing off the past, that's another thing the fear does, playing off the past. Well, if this is like it used to be, like I'm looking for comfort and safety and certainty, so I'm going just off the past. I don't work with mystery. I don't work with uncertainty. I don't work with spontaneity. Like this is the voice of fear. Like I don't work with any of that stuff. So let's just, work with what we know. Let's maybe just keep things safe, keep things low key on the down low. So you can face the fear, like you're having a therapy session. The fear is expressing all that it needs to express. And you're essentially like, all right, cool. Like, thank you for telling me, but I'm listening to my heart and soul, and it's saying, go for this. So, fear, I'm hearing you out because you are one transient aspect of me. You come and you go. Cool. But I'm listening to my heart and soul, and I'm going in this direction because that feels the most right, the most real and true and alive for me. Thank you, fear. Also, thank you, heart and soul. Soon. Here I go. Here I am as I'm going. Right? I've also noticed that I like to, when I'm discussing a topic, I'm usually discussing topics that are very wispy and metaphysical and subtle. You know, the mental, emotional, the spiritual stuff. And it may seem strange for you that I use, like, at times, like, 3 or 4 words to discuss a thing, an essence, a concept, modality, whatever. You know, like, right there, I just did that. I feel like it's due diligence, because if I just say 1 word, or even 2 words, referencing a concept, you can be like, okay, yeah. But I feel like it would be a disservice if I didn't use the surrounding words, the inner circle of words, you know, the inner web of synonymous words, or words that are at least closely related, so that you, the audience, can get a fuller picture of what it is that I'm really discussing, where it is that I'm really at. So yeah, I take a sort of humble pride in doing things like that. So, just to wrap it up, fear. It plays its part. In fact, there's a certain extent where it's essential. It's just trying to keep us safe. Like, very cool. Thank you. I like being alive too. Like, thanks, bro. So, then there gets to a point where it's like, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. We should probably, you know, ease and err on the side of caution and safety. So we should probably just not go for it. We probably shouldn't go outside the box. We probably shouldn't try this thing because it's new, and even if it's not new, it's you know, it's a new situation. There are different variables, so it's new in that sense. So I don't know. I'm not sure about this. And it's really cool that the heart, the soul, the intuition, it has a sort of soft confidence where if you just let the fear be and you let the logic be, and that includes discernment, where you're hearing it out, you're giving it its due diligence, its due respect, you're listening to these aspects. But if you imagine, you know, if you've worked with a DAW, a digital audio workstation, even if you haven't, there's, you know, different tracks, and imagine each track has its volume knob or volume fader. Sure, we'll do fader, like left to right. And so you're hearing it out. You're hearing out the fear. You're hearing out the logic. You're hearing out the emotions. But those faders are lower in volume. And you're absolutely boosting, you're absolutely goosing the always still and peaceful and tender and usually quiet voice of the heart, soul, intuition, where it's like, all right, like, I'm hearing you guys out, but let me just goose up the volume knob for right here, my most inner core self. Let me just get a better listen to that. And you can hear them all, not necessarily like simultaneously, even though it can be at times very harmonic and symphonic, where it's creating a beautiful piece of music, where it's all going on simultaneously, and it's like, I'm taking all of that, the fear, the logic, the mind, the emotions, and the intuition, and it's playing a beautiful song. And you could say that the intuition is the solo vocalist, and then the other stuff is the instruments. And you're like, okay, like, this can all work. And I'll cut out the pieces of fear, anxiety, trepidation, over consideration, overthinking. That's not really taking the intuition into account. It's just going off the past patterning, right? So there's a point where that other stuff, mind, logic, emotion, fear, that other stuff, if it's working off like outdated stuff, like obsolete stuff, like irrelevant stuff, when in juxtaposition with the heart, soul, intuition, it's like, and for our conscious, our conscious mind, our conscious being to like see that, like, you're riding the gravy train, like you're back in the high life, right? Where you're able to parcel out, you're able to discern like what's legitimate and what's just obsolete and irrelevant compared to just like who you truly are. And how you get better at that discernment and goosing the volume knobs of not just the most inner you, but just the logic, the discernments, the emotions that are really onto something. Like the genius that is actually really onto something. To be able to really increase the volume of things like that. It comes in time. It comes in quiet moments, whether it be through meditation, contemplation, journaling, just facing that which comes up in you. The thoughts, the emotions, the inklings, the intuitions, the speculations, the visions, the dreams, like to appreciate, to apprecio, to add value to these things, right? Life goes on like this. So many layers of life go on. But how much do you appreciate these things that I'm referencing? Like being really, actually, truly in touch with this, the heart, soul, intuition, the most inner you, the highest self, the God self, your speed dial, your connection to God, to the universe, etc. All of that is synonymous. Like, if that's what you actually want, like actually, truly, you'll prove it to yourself in time, in attention, in reprioritization. We've got the time, we've got the attention, the energy, the effort. Reallocate if and when necessary. And the how is like, it's one of those, like, if you have to ask, you'll never know. like that type of thing. But, I'm being a little cheeky or whatever. But you want it. If you want it, things happen as your natural desires inevitably produce fruit. What are your natural desires currently? That's something to look into, because you do get what you are consistently energetically in line with. I was going to say you get what you want, but even though it's true to one extent, it gets caught up in semantics. I just imagine, like the snake charmer, it comes up, but imagine like two tongues and they're twisted, so it's just like the semantics of it all. It's tricky, like a snake, at least symbolically, and the semantics, the tongue twisting, that was fun. But the fact that we get we receive what our energy is putting out. I know that sounds woo-woo. That could be its own video, and in fact, I'll probably do that. But in general, you want what you want. Fear can actually help you. And the more we get into the clearing, the clarifying, and expanding of our heart, soul, intuition, most inner core self, the more we get into that clarifying and expanding, the more messages we get, the more giving that you can give, right? I'm essentially, as I'm speaking, as I'm creating content, as I'm living the life that I'm giving, which is like freaking awesome, giving, receiving, wholesomeness, fulfillment, heaven and hell, but it's all part of the design, where it's like, if you can be as chill in the heavens as you are in the hells, get the lessons, the teachings all along the way, get the clarification, get the expansion. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a perpetual motion device. And this goes right into our respects. Much respect to you, much respect to me for us just doing life, surviving, and wherever it is that we are doing it, attempting and even at times succeeding in getting better, more clear and expanded in our most inner truth. Working with all these layers, the mind, the emotions, the soul, the body, and all the layers of our more external life. Just mad respect to all of it, all the elements, all the layers that are helping us stay alive, all the stuff that we're giving, or all the stuff that we're receiving. And then with life comes life. We're receiving, and then we could be giving. It's a beautiful cycle and expanding spiral and symbiosis. It's freaking awesome. So here's to you, here's to me, to that clarifying, that expanding of all that is completely and utterly and beautifully you. This is Mac 11. Peace out.